After last week's video on the Switch's 5th anniversary, one game made it to the Nintendo Switch on launch day, and on Wii U it ended. It's The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So yeah, this is going to be a full-on review of this game. So, let's begin. Oh, and there will be spoilers near the end, so just beware. The story is on the protagonist Link, who awakens in order to defeat Calamity Ganon and restore the Kingdom of Hyrule. Meanwhile, there's flashback memories with Link and Princess Zelda knowing what happened during the flashbacks. And while in the game, Link has to set off different areas for the fate of the Divine Beast and their former champions. So yeah, the story is an afterthought. You know where it's going. I can't say the story sucks. No, it's just questionable. In past Zelda games, they have great stories about Hyrule and Triforce and the evil Gandorf, or Ganon, depending on his transformation. That's the whole point of story in Zelda games. Check the stories out in past Zelda games, but in this, it's just an afterthought. So, aside from the story, let's talk about the biggest parts in the whole game. This game is downright awesome. Almost amazing. Imagine if I saw this as a kid, I would have loved it to death. The gameplay is fantastic. Link travels location to location, which means this game is open world. That's right, this is the first Zelda game to go open world. You can say Ocarina of Time had that open world, but you couldn't go to a mountain in the farther distance. In Breath of the Wild, you can go any area, for the most part. There is an invisible wall in the game where you think the game is broken. No, that means you can only go further than that. If you ever get lost, no worries. You have a map to guide the area. Thankfully, the towers will activate each different area as shown, since Link has his tablet thing. As for shrines, we'll get to that later. Anyways, back to the gameplay talk. Playing as Link feels more natural, which, yeah, it's the typical Link gameplay. Knocking out enemies, attacking with weapon, riding on a horse, using items, and puzzle solving in the game. But I feel like the gameplay has impressed a lot more. So yeah, the gameplay is still fantastic. The graphics are gorgeous to look at. It's funny that the graphics are more Wii U than the Switch, but man, just look at the graphics on the Switch. It looks so much better. As for the art style, it gives me the Wind Waker and Skyward Sword art style vibes. But yeah, the graphics are still amazing. So let's move on to other things that are positive. The enemies. Okay, it's not the enemies themselves, but the way they have smart AI. I did not expect Zelda enemies to have good AI. Similar to other Nintendo games where they have smart AIs, this is one of the few that did a good job with the enemies. But yeah, random one to point out. The characters are pretty good. You run into former champions during the Divine Beasts like Minfa, Daruk, Urbosa, and Rivali. You get to know them pretty quickly. Also, I want to talk about the cutscene. While it is great, they actually use full-on voice acting, especially Princess Zelda. While in the game, you bump into NPC characters. They give you text, which I'm okay with that. I like reading text in Zelda games. It's similar to games like RPG games and Animal Crossing. But voice acting was a good addition to the game. Now to the shrines. They're like mini version of dungeons where you go each area to find them. And good news, you can transport them, just in case you don't get lost in the game. I think the shrines was a good addition, but my only gripe about the shrines is that it can be a little repetitive at times. But other than that, I still like it. I even like the puzzle solving inside. After that, you see a statue and you gain a spirit orb. Simple, yes, but that's the way to get more hearts if the game is too hard. Let's move on to the boss battles. The boss battles in every Divine Beast are actually pretty tough. It's obviously Ganon with different blights like fire, water, thunder, and wind. But it was rewarding to beat them all four. They were difficult when I first played it. Now to the music. While Breath of the Wild has more relaxing nature with no music, you still get great orchestrated music in the whole game, and they sound awesome. If I had to pick a favorite music in the game, it would have to be all 4 of the champions have a strike on Calamity Ganon during the final battle. When I heard it, it sounded amazing. Before I get to the final battle, here are some minor things to talk about. The weapon's breaking durability. There is a total change because none of the past Zelda games had that. Now, did it bother me? No, but I've seen people are split on the whole weapon's breaking durability. I mean, I wasn't frustrating when a weapon broke and had to get a new one. Thankfully, I kept the Master Sword during the final battle, just in case if it was going to break. Still, it's not a gripe, but I had to point out, even the weather effects in the game is pretty realistic, like climbing up while it's raining, heat wave during desert areas. It's pretty challenging for a Zelda game on weather. Next is the cooking, which that was a nice feature, but I didn't use it much. But yeah, not my favorite out of them. I like the new mechanics for puzzle solving, like grabbing an item like a magnet or freezing a block of ice on water surface. That's pretty creative. Other things I didn't do, like side quests or Korok seeds to collect, but I ignore them because I just want to do the main quest. So yeah, I think that's everything for the minor things and gripes on the game. So now let's get to the final battle. After the amazing music and cool cutscene of laser shooting Calamity Ganon, it was time to beat the last boss. Which, it is a pretty hard boss, but at least I survived all throughout the game using the Master Sword and arrows. But yeah, had some tough calls, but still an awesome final battle. So yeah, Zelda Breath of the Wild was an awesome game, definitely one of my favorite Zelda games, top 5 easily, and it was close to one of my favorite Switch games, but Mario takes the spot, of course. So yeah, that was my review of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I know it was tough to talk about, but it is truly a fantastic game, and one day I will do a video on it again in the future, but not a review. Also, I can't wait for the sequel coming. That is all for the video, and next video is coming on Friday. What is it, you may ask? You'll find out. But I'll see you guys in a few days.